Looking for quality fencing? Hornet Fence has you covered. Residential, commercial, and industrial fence, gate, and gate operator sales and service. We do it all, where we carry the largest inventory of fencing supplies in the Four Corners area. Hornet Fence, helping you secure the nest.
We believe that every child deserves the best start in life, and we're committed to providing a safe, nurturing, and fun environment where your little ones can grow, learn, and thrive. Join the Kitty Camp family today, where smiles, learning, and love are always in abundance.
American Equipment Manufacturing is a local business based in Farmington that specializes in the manufacturing of oil field equipment. Our extensive production facility allows us to provide high-quality products that meet the industry standards and industry knowledge.
It's the Garage Guys. We're going to marry together our hot mics. Steven Parks and myself are sitting back thinking, man, we just got the football brackets to come out. We need to talk some football, and what better way to do that than bring in the #1 ranked team in 4A? Of course, it's Mike Kovacs, the head coach of the Bloomfield Bobcats. Thanks for making the trip in, Coach.
Oh, for you guys, anything. I mean, this is such an honor, what you guys do for San Juan County and what you do for local youth sports. I saw all your guys' stuff on the Yaffle this weekend. That's just so exciting to see those young kids just excited to be on. It's awesome. Thank you.
They had a ball over there. That was so much fun to do that for those kids. And it was big time for those guys. You know, they never get that kind of level of fun. You know, they see the high school teams like yourself and, Aztec, Kirtland, all these guys, PV Farmington, they're all on these big fields playing under the lights. They're getting it broadcasted. You know, it was a big deal, wasn't it? It was fun.
Yeah, we got tons of just compliments and just people loving it. And those kids felt huge. They love being on the live stream.
Well, I would too if I was that age, getting a live stream like that and getting you guys to talk to them and getting interviewed. I mean, there's nothing better than feeling important, and I thought you guys did a great job on that.
Yeah, thank you. It was a blast, Coach, for us.
Well, let's jump into it. I mean, we've got the 2A bracket. I think you've got a little history here with this Navajo Prep team. They got ranked 8. They're taking on #9 Jal. You know, all season long, and we had mentioned this a couple of times, we had said that it would work itself out as long as Navajo Prep kept winning. A ton of disrespect I felt in Max Preps as well as the coaches poll all season long for where they had them ranked. They played some pretty tough games and they won some tough games, but they took care of business towards the tail end. They lost a really heartbreaker that we broadcast 9-8 to Hoja, who was a phenomenal football team. Holy cow. We actually were talking about how much Hoja reminded us of your team because of how electrifying their quarterback was, their wide receivers. They had an amazing running game. I mean, they had it all from top to bottom.
They executed very well.
Yes, and I mean, a testament to how good Navajo Prep was. And so for the state to see that and then still show them the disrespect again, it blew my mind. But, talk a little bit about that, because Jal is quite familiar in the state for football.
Oh, absolutely they are. I mean, Jal's one of those perennial 2A programs that you're always going to see year in and year out in the Final Four for sure. This year, the last 2 years, I think Giles had left them. Coach Giles was, if you guys don't know, he was over at Escalante and won 3, and then he went over to Jal and won 2, and he's moved on, and the new coach is doing a great job with Jal trying to fit in and marry that. But the thing I got to give up for Rod and his staff, we were talking about that game with Hojo, and thank you guys for airing that. I got to watch that. And Hojo's defense, man, they stopped the screen game, they stopped the run game, and Rod really had to go into, I think, to me, into the package to make sure he could be successful and move the ball down the field. The thing that Hojo did is they could counter every move he did. I thought that the Navajo Prep, once they got settled into that after the first quarter, because, Navajo Prep went 4 and out inside the 5. Yeah. And I thought, man, that right there with a team like Hojo was very, very critical in that game. Talked to Coach Armenta. Ronnie does the defense for him. He put up a fight. He was all over the place with his defense, and I just was impressed that those kids were flying to the ball. They were gritty, and they wanted to win when it came down right there at the end. Wow. And I just...
I know. You saying that, like, we became a fan of Levon Jim.
Yes.
Like no other. That kid, like you said, he was flying all over the field. He was putting hits on. He had some he had some touchdown saving tackles in that game.
Oh, absolutely he did. And he made them reload the chains. And just that last drive, I think you guys could see it too. They just got tired. You could see on film when they started just pounding the rock right at them. It's always hard at the end of the game. You've been chasing these receivers and you've been running outside zone, inside zone, and they got tired. And I thought that's what really put Hojo. I'll be honest with you guys. One of our coaches said, Chase Paletto said they're gonna win it with a field goal. And I'm like, Hojo has a field goal kicker? And he goes, you need to look at the stats. And I was like, oh my God. And they came and that kid just drilled it.
I mean, cranked it.
But didn't he do everything? He punted, he kicked off.
He's a quarterback.
Yes, the quarterback.
I mean, he did everything.
He had that crazy last name, but we were surprised that they didn't use him more. Because at the end of the game, they just started pounding him down the field. And they had another big bruiser back too. I think number 22 maybe. I don't know. They had some pretty big kids on that team. But
they did, and I think a couple of them were Samoan. The last name sounded Samoan, and I don't know the young men, but to me on film, they were really good.
Oh, they looked good.
You know what? And they got honored with the 4 seed here in the 2A bracket. But my curiosity is what you brought up, Albert, and you talked about the disrespect to the North. If Navajo Prep would have beat Hojo, do you think they would have put him in the top 4?
I don't think so.
No.
See, I don't think they would have.
No, we were talking, they were at 12, and then they give them an 8 seed and going into state. I'm like, what is the thinking there? I think the one game that really killed him was that Crown Point.
The Crown Point hurt him bad.
That one hurt him pretty bad. But they still, even after that, like that performance they put up against Hojo, I mean, that was a tough game. I mean, I thought they would get a little more respect after that, but I'm not sure how, and I mean, we've all been through this seating selection garbage, it's, so it is what it is. But I am glad that they got the 8 seed because I feel like that's probably where they should be at least.
Oh, at least they shouldn't have dropped any lower than that.
Yes, exactly.
And you're looking at the teams that are ahead of them. There's some good teams up there, but I still think, with their schedule, I think what hurts them the most, gentlemen, is their overall 10-game schedule with some of the teams that they're playing. And then you lose to Crown Point, and they should have never lost that game. And you're looking at a 10-game season of trying to get those individuals ready week in or week out. And that's the thing, is to marry them together. They played Crown Point after Hojo, right? When they lost that? Isn't that
they
right?
played Crown Point before that.
Right before.
It was a Thursday night game.
Oh, that's right.
It was cold and windy and raining, and what was it, 14-8 or 14-9?
Yeah, it was real close. And I just, Rod, I've known him for quite a while. I was on his staff for quite a while, and he does great things with those young men over there.
He's a great guy.
He is.
He's a genuine great guy, and he has a lot of his history. A lot of people don't know that he played at ASU, and he comes from a football background, and his knowledge is through the roof. And I was just really honored when I got an opportunity to go over there after my Aztec days and just to be involved with that environment, because I always thought that those kids deserve the love too, even though you don't have the 80-man roster. You got 20, 24, 25. Rod's got it up to 30 this year.
Well, he told us before the game in our interview, they have 90 boys at that, or 90 males at that school total,
yes.
And they've got 35 out to play football. And we found out just today, because we were trying to talk to Rainey maybe about coming to get to do that game. It didn't work out, but the reason is that on Saturday a bunch of them are going to run in the cross country state tournament. I mean, so there's 35 on the football team, and who knows how many of them are going to run cross country the next day.
I remember we had 2 of our star athletes, Mr. Yazzie and Deontay. They both ran cross country. They would play Friday night and run 14 miles on Saturday, and I was like, "You guys are men."
That's a different athlete right there. And we have to show some respect, and I think you're a perfect guy to bring that up about how in tune and what Navajo Prep's willing to do for their programs. They've really stepped up the last probably 10, 15 years to get behind their programs and give them things that, that will help them be successful, minus the educational piece of it, of how difficult that is. But I think that works best too, because when you get into college, hey, they don't mess around with you in college. You either better do it or you don't. And if you don't, you're gonna leave here. I'm gonna have you packing by Friday. I'll have your spot filled by Monday.
Oh, and the thing that blew me away when I went over there was, in the weight room, the kids were talking about ACT scores, what they got, 24, 25. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Oh, we had ACT pretest. They're already talking about big Ivy League schools. And I'm looking at them like, I'm not used to this. I'm used to the gritty blue-collar guys that are talking about their next whatever this weekend. These kids are focused on what they could do. Yeah, buck and hay, going to the old field. Yeah. But they're talking about, I want to go to Penn State. I want to go to Brown University. I want to go to Oregon and this. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? I mean, you don't see that, but they have a lot of that. They're very high standard. They have study halls. They have, and that comes first. Education over at Prep is you will do all this before you do any activities.
Absolutely.
And you have to work around that schedule with those guys.
Have a 2.5 to play?
Oh, yeah.
It's not just 2.0. They got to have a 2.5.
Their educational standard's unbelievable at Navajo Prep. And, I was there with Miss OJ, and Rainey was still in charge of, the volleyball and then the basketball aspect of it. And you know what, Navajo Prep girls, it's hard to do a male sport over at Navajo Prep and be successful because they have such a lineage, right? Such a history, an enriched history with the girls sports over there, and to come in and be successful and to have that, because you guys are talking about 90 boys. How about 280 girls? You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So they get a little more to pick from, right? And these guys are stuck in 2A, and I'll bet 90 boys, there ain't another 2A team that only have 90 boys in their school. And to be successful like this and to be with Hojo, and I think, what do they have, 400 kids?
Yeah.
So there's a big difference in dynamics, and with what Rod and Ronnie are doing and his staff, it's phenomenal. It's really, to me, that's the phenomenal art of coaching right there, is to do more with less.
Wow.
And
it's a phenomenal. They were great to us too.
Awesome.
I mean, I just, like, everybody over there was amazing, and Rainey, she took care of us over there. I mean, I don't know. I can't talk good enough about that school.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
100%.
It doesn't surprise me at all to hear some of that stuff.
It's a first class.
Yeah.
Organization over there, and they're very in tune with their student athletes, and they encompass that to the fullest. Student athlete.
Yes.
You better take care of the student part, because we will not allow you to become the athlete part until you take care of what you're here for, which is what's the most important part of all of it. And that's the standard that you talked about that I've always really tipped my hat about.
Yeah, I mean, they do a great job over there with the people that they have and the resources that they have, and they don't get everything the bigger schools get, or even schools like Jal. Jal got a brand new complex. They got a football field. I'm sure their equipment is top notch. These guys, like I said, they're playing with less, but they're being successful, and I think it's because of the grit that Ronnie, on defense puts in his defense, and Rod takes them and puts them in space. He puts fast kids in space. I've helped coach Danetzo for years now, and just gave him, the book that Brad gave me and said, here it is, do more with less. And he's really embraced that, I think. And they're going to give Jal a fight. I promise you they are. I think they match up well. Looking at statistic-wise, if you look online, they haven't played the schedule, but, all schedules out the window when you start playoffs, especially the first round. You're nervous. 2, remember last year they won Prep won their first playoff
Absolutely.
game. And so now they're used to it. These kids were young last year. Now they're used to going into that atmosphere. It's at home. It's under their lights. It's under their, in their environment. They don't have to travel. Jal has to travel, stay the night possibly, and then come play at Navajo Prep. So if you guys are out there and you want to watch an awesome game, Navajo Prep's going to be fantastic this week.
You got Danetzo, you got Jim, you've got Grayson Vigil. I mean, you've got, they've got some solid players over there. And when we were at that game, Vigil had an interception, and they were lucky to catch him and bring him down.
Yeah.
That could have been the difference in the game right there.
We all know that was going to be the difference in that game.
Yeah.
And how many fourths and short did Arminta have? His defense kept them, and they had 2 big backs. I couldn't believe how big those young men were. Yeah. 2 big backs, and they held up. That's why I was so proud to watch that game, and you guys airing it. It's just, I can't say enough about them guys over there. And I think on their side of the bracket, I'm going to tell you guys right now, they're going to go face Texaco, and it's to me unfortunate, because I think, any other side on the bracket, they could possibly make the semis. Texaco's going to be tough. I mean, Texaco's coming off of 2 consecutive state championship. I think 90 of their athletes come from Clovis because they don't want to go to Clovis for whatever reason. So you have some big gentlemen that are over at Texaco. If you watch them on tape, they're big. You know, I'm not going to lie to you, they're big. Now, can you stop them enough and get some things? You never know on football, especially high school. And I tell every coach that comes into this, whether you coach for me or any other coach, any Friday or Saturday, you have a chance to win. Don't ever go into a game thinking you can't win.
Right.
And because I remember a year that we beat Goddard, and they were monstrous. And you know what? If Nick, you're out there, Nick Fierro was my linebacker, and he had a heck of a game that night, or that day. It was a day game against Goddard, and we wound up winning 35-30. We had no business on the field, but they were huge. I mean, you got a starting lineup of 6'5", 6'4", 6'7", 6'5", and 6'4", and they were all over 260.
That was an Aztec, right?
No, that was the one
Aztec?
at Goddard. That was
at Goddard.
Yeah, that's the one.
With Aztec, though.
Then we played Silver the next week, and we weren't predicted to. So, you know, the same love goes out to Rod and his staff. They've got their hands full in the next round. But I want to see them beat Jal so you can stop we can't seed them any higher. I want to see them beat a South team. So they'll look at us and say, you know what, they are comparative. It doesn't matter what that schedule is what is the product that's on the field. Everybody's worried about this. You know, you guys don't play enough harder teams or this. You don't do that because of travel. Who today can afford to travel 2 games a year in a 10-game season? You just can't do it.
Yeah. I mean, in your district, you have to travel. So that, I mean, we all know that all the budgets are getting tight. Everybody's getting squeezed, and they're like, you can't. We don't want people traveling everywhere. Yeah, and that's. But you're right, though. Like Navajo Prep, it's like it feels like they're going to have to prove themselves for 4 or 5 years before they go, okay, maybe these guys should be.
Yeah, maybe these guys should be something. But he had a great outing last year.
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
He had a great outing. He did great things. He did great things this year. We all have hiccup games. I mean, if you're in this long enough, you're going to have a game. You're like, I should have won that because we did this or that, or the kids didn't show up. And you know what? That's to me, and I'll say it to anybody. That's the coaches, not the kids. You know, you lose a game, kids don't lose games. Kids try whatever you'll tell them to try, and they try their hardest. If you lose a game, it's because the coaching staff wasn't ready for that game. You know, and you had some bad breaks, or you just got out-coached. All of us get out-coached. We all do. None of us are perfect. And when you're in that kind of environment, especially when you're looking at this bracket and the teams that are going to be left when he's in there, I mean, you look at this, he could theoretically go in and you know, he could surprise Texaco. And then he's going to play the winner of Hojo, you know, Tularosa and Raton. And I'm telling you right now, that Raton team is going to give Hojo. They're going to beat O'Fellsetti down at Tule, I promise you.
Yeah, Raton's tough.
Raton is really tough.
They always have a
you know, and you're going to go face Hojo. And I'm telling you, that one to get into the finals, that side of the bracket. But I got to drop down because you're looking at Legacy, and this is the thing I want to tell you guys about Legacy. I would have never picked them to beat Santa Rosa. Santa Rosa was on a mission, and to hold them to 0 points.
6-0 was that game, right?
Have you guys ever watched Santa Rosa, the spinner? You don't know who has the ball, when they have the ball, how they, you know, the purple machine, and they beat them. Legacy beat them, and that is, what is this Legacy? Here's the other issue. Legacy's a 3-year school now. They're only 3 years old.
They're brand new.
And they're already going to be, to me, in the finals of this bracket. And Legacy's tough. They have some great kids, but I won't get on the private school too much soapbox. It's hard with private school because they can get anybody.
Don't get us started. All right, we'll join you in that talk.
Hey,
we'll be here all night.
Soccer. I know all about the private school stuff.
You know what?
We'll be
Coach
here all
Reed
night.
And Coach Lopez, we talk all the time. It's ridiculous that a district champ up here in boys will barely make the bracket. Make the bracket.
Yep.
When you look at the bracket, it's all South and Albuquerque travel squads. And those squads, everybody's like, oh, you know. But you tell me, you've been around soccer. Academy, Hope, and St. Pius, they're club teams all year long.
Absolutely.
And they go and play, you know, I mean, Hope right now, Hope girls are 10 in the nation. They'll beat everybody in 4, 5, and 6A. How are they? That's an unfair advantage to me. Because if you tell me they're not recruiting, I'll call you a liar.
Yeah, I got in the state final twice, and I lost to Pius, and I lost to Academy.
Yeah.
We always called ourselves the public school champions.
That's awesome.
So I'll give you that title because it's hard to compete with those guys.
Yeah,
it's hard to say, you know, In those individual sports, it's hard to say that that's fair. And a perfect example is Legacy now. Okay, Legacy now is going to be one of those that are going to move up, and they're going to be one of those schools like Hope. They're going to be one of those schools like St. Pius Academy.
Because they are in Albuquerque, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's an unfair advantage to the rest of us because we cannot recruit. You're going to hear, well, we don't recruit. Okay, then how many kids pay $28,000 to go to Academy just off the street? Is there a family around here that could do that? I could count on one hand how many families that could possibly do a kid and do that.
You're right.
You know, Academy's the richest school in the state. And, you know, you can't tell me the kids going there's not scholarship kids. Promise you there's scholarship kids. Legacy scholarship kids. I got to see them this summer in Bernalillo at Sevens. They're scholarship kids. They're big, you know, and they're athletic. And that's the thing in when you go to athletics in these private schools. Our ratio is maybe 40% of our school plays athletics, all sports. What do you want to bet they're 90, if not more?
True.
Play sports.
Specifically brought in for a specific sport.
That's
or
correct.
Multiple.
Yeah. And if you don't think they're recruiting, the girl that just got picked up out of that basketball school that doesn't have a girls team, Academy just got her. The NMAA just approved it. Talk to Kirtland's head girl basketball coach, Manning Devin. He's not happy, but they're going to let her play. And you mean to tell me that's just an innocent, the number one girl in the state of New Mexico just happened to go to Academy? I don't, we got to play them. That's the cards we're dealt, and you got to figure out how to deal with it. And that's what we got to do.
I think whenever, since we're on this private school kick a little bit, whenever I was coaching, I think we counted, there was like 19 private schools. And we were always like, why don't they start a private school classification, I guess, so to speak, or something.
It should be an open classification for them.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about that, and I'm going to continue as long as I'm coaching to push that. They need to have their own league to make the parity fair. Yeah. And then give some of the other schools, like you going there 2 times and not being able to win because you're facing a year-round club team. Yeah. Your girls play 3 to 4 sports at your school. My kids play 3 to 4. How do I know that? Andrew Himes plays soccer and plays football. Yeah. And he's going to do track and basketball. Yep. Or maybe they do football, wrestling, basketball, and baseball.
I mean, we like your kids. Like we see them in football, we see them in baseball, we see wrestling. And it's everywhere. You're right. It's all the schools. I mean, everybody has to share athletes around here. So.
You have to field the team.
That's how we.
That's
get
the only way you can field a team anymore. And you're right. You know what? We're gonna have to come back on that one.
I know.
Let's table that because I'll be honest with you.
That's a tough discussion right there.
We have people discuss that with us every week, Coach. So it's nothing we're not shy of talking about. I mean, It is the thing because you aren't the only coach that's saying that. I promise you, we talk to a lot of coaches, not just in football, but other sports.
I think some people are just afraid to talk about it out loud.
They are. They don't want to.
It's like,
it's taboo or whatever.
Everybody talks about it's for the kids.
Yeah.
You can't tell me the parity with us in private school is equal. There's no way. You know, if you got 40% of your athletes in your district to play sports, boy, you're super excited. Every sport's going to have a lot of athletes. When you have 90% of your school playing athletics, is there a difference? I think there's a difference. Yeah. And we'll come back around.
Well, there's a reason there's a difference.
I mean, there is. Yeah. But in my eyes, I think Prep's going to beat Jal. It's going to be a great game.
I think they'd be. I
agree.
Jal's a heavy run team, Coach. Heavy run. And I think how physical Prep is with Levon Jim. I mean, that guy at a safety. To me, I think a safety position is so undervalued that they could come up and take care of the deep stuff and come up in the box and be another man in there. But I think it really goes to Navajo Prep's side.
Oh, I do too, because a lot of the teams that he faced already were single wing, double wing, or split back all season long. So it's not like they're not used to a heavy run team. And I think defensively, Jal's going to be in a little mismatch because Rod's got some fast kids. Yeah. That quarterback can move. Yes. And they get him in space, and he's going to be just fine. And I think with the light box, and you just kind of throw and let those athletes do things, I think Rod's going to be perfectly fine this week. But my prediction, and going to work it out, I think Texaco's going to make the championship, and I think Legacy's going to play them. Okay. I think Legacy's going to, because what the thing that I see is, I think Santa Rosa's going to upset Eunice in the quarters. I think they're going to go.
I don't think that's a. Yeah, I think that's a. You're right on that one. That's not a far stretch right there. Santa Rosa is a good team.
They've been playing, so they've had a nice year. They've had some tough games, so I think they're going to grind it out, keep the ball from Eunice, and they're going to do some great things. But when they play Legacy again, and I really see that, I don't think they've ever played before. I could be misspeaking right here, but they're only 3 years old. So the history is going to go to the higher seed that should be at Legacy. That is going to be another grinded out kind of game. So now they know what each other looks like. But I still think Legacy has the edge. But we all know sitting here at the table, you play somebody twice, that's a hard-fought game.
Yes.
Tough.
That's going to be tough. And you know, I think that Loving's going to beat Estancia, so they're going to play, Legacy's going to play Loving, but they're going to make it in. It's going to be probably decided by 2 points or less when they beat Santa Rosa, and I see Texaco and Legacy in that bracket, guys.
All right, I got it written down. There it is, stamped down. Let's go on over to some 5A quickly, Coach.
Yes.
We don't have any skin in the game here.
5A since we don't really have any 5A here.
Here's the real question, and talk a little bit about this because I'd love to see your thoughts about it. Obviously, Artesia's run through everybody, kind of like you guys did through your district. It's the same thing with Artesia. The only ones that we felt that could beat them were Roswell or Goddard. Okay, from what we were hearing through the states, you'll dive into that in just a second. But the other question mark was Los Alamos. Artesia didn't play Los Alamos. Los Alamos getting a lot of attention right now. Are they good enough, fast enough, physical enough to take on Artesia? Here's the interesting conversations for you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I'm super excited for Los Alamos going down there undefeated, getting a 3 seed, because there was a lot of rumor mill out there that they weren't going to be even ranked in the top 4, and that one district was going to have all 4. I'm glad the state got it right. I'm glad the coaches voted them in there. They deserve that opportunity. The thing I can see, though, is Gadsden's going to beat Capital, and they're going to play Los Alamos. I can tell you that right now. Gadsden probably beat them by 30 or more. They're going to beat Capital. Gadsden's been playing some good football lately. They're staying healthy, and I think when they go to Los Alamos, you know, first of all, they got to make that drive up to that elevation. And if I was Los Alamos, to be honest with you, I'd make them play Friday night, shorten their week. And I would make sure that we played Friday night and under the lights. It's going to be cold up there. Gadsden's not used to that. And it's going to be a hard-fought game. Now, I've watched 3 of Los Alamos' tapes just because of common opponent stuff that I had to deal with. And I was curious to see why they were being so successful. He's running an air raid, an all-out air raid. He's doing a great job with it. Him and his coaches are doing a great job. I haven't, you know, Gadsden struggled a little bit with Chaparral.
Yeah.
I think Los Alamos has a great chance to win that. I'm telling you guys right now, they have a great chance to win that game. So I see Gadsden going to Los Alamos, and I think that Los Alamos is going to move over to the semis, and then Roswell's going to play the winner of Belen and Valley. Billy, he's struggling this year. He's got a young team, great numbers. He just got a young team, and he's dropped some games that I don't think he should have dropped, so he's going to struggle with Belen. Belen's, they've come on heavy since we faced them the first time.
They have. Okay.
They struggled a little bit there for a few years, right? And they're starting to come.
And Coach Parra's doing a great job bringing it back. Love Coach Parra, a lot of love out there for him. But the Eagles, they're on fire right now. They have a little belief going. The fans are behind them. They had an alumni night last week. They're doing a lot. I mean, I don't know why I Skype all these guys and just trying to follow their programs and see what they're doing. And so Belen's going to beat Valley, and they're going to go meet Roswell. You know, they're going to go meet Coach Lynn and the Coyotes in Roswell. The problem I see about that is Coach Lynn's a different level coach. Coach Lynn is a scary guy to have to coach against because he's very sound, complementary football. His offense doesn't make a lot of mistakes. They're going to grind you, and when you get bored, he's going to go over the top. He did that a couple times earlier against Artesia in that game. But he's the first to tell you that he's got a couple of spots he's still working on. Hopefully they get that sealed up. But I think, Belen's going to get beat by Roswell. Roswell's going to play Los Alamos. And I don't know the history on that guy, so I can't be honest because they've been in there a while. Years ago when we used to play Los Alamos, Coach Scott was there, and they were on top all the time. So they might have history with Roswell. I don't know. Hopefully it's in Los Alamos for them. I don't know the history of that. But if it's not, they got to go down to the Wool Bowl. I love playing in the Wool Bowl. I love that stadium in Roswell. It's a great facility, and but I really see Roswell. Because they have to face, this year if you look at who they faced, Goddard actually opened it up this year, and they're more half and half. They're a spread. They have a quarterback for the spread, quarterback for the wing, and they face Artesia, Lovington, Hobbs. Roswell has faced some passing teams, so I don't think that scares him. He does really good against passing teams. He has some very athletic young men. But Los Alamos' defense, I think he's going to expose that with his big bruising back. And his son's doing great at quarterback right now. And if you haven't got to see Lynn, he's a big kid. He's big. He runs downhill. And I don't think Los Alamos has seen a runner like that, to be honest with you.
Some phenomenal athletes.
And so I think on that side of the bracket, you're going to see Roswell. And on top, I'll be honest right now, Lovington or Artesia's beat them all.
Yeah.
And handedly.
Yeah.
And the not sad. I think it's good for Jeremy down there. They're all young. He doesn't, he has like 40, 42 seniors, but in that eye, I would love 40 seniors. I'll tell you that. So, but they just rebuild. He has 130 from sophomores up, so it's not a far stretch for him. And right now they're on fire. I think that Coach Lynn's going to be ready for him in the finals, and that's my prediction on 5A.
All right. Well, there you got it. We got it stuck in there with Coach. Now, hey, we talked a lot about this, and I'm going to let Steven kind of take over from here at 6A because Pedro Vista was his team. You were mine this year for football. But, man, Steven, we talked all freaking year long. We talked up Pedro Vista.
Sure.
Because we just seen them, and they were just built different. It's a shame that they're in 6A.
Yes.
But then it's also pretty awesome what they're doing and what they're showing people, how their coaching staff can kind of pivot and their players are doing what they're doing, playing in that, what I call the district of death, or as Steven and I both call it that. It's just brutal. Yeah. And when you're talking in terms of football, for sure.
Sure.
But Pedro Vista, I mean, I know Los Lunas has had some pretty big wins, this season, and they're always tough, but I just cannot not walk away from PV. I just can't do it.
Well,
it's hard.
Like the thing that we've been talking, because that was my team. I was always going and kind of watching film and checking things out. And I mean, when you've got Amasi Griego, you've got Marquez, you've got Cockrell, even Halverson has gotten in there and gotten some reps as well. They have some extremely talented athletes on that team. And what I was really impressed with and really excited about was the fact that they actually changed their offense this year. They were so run heavy, and now this year they come out throwing the ball, doing some different things. And I mean, you know better than I do. You got to see it. I mean, we talked about that. I know you guys lost to him, and I know nobody wants to lose, but I felt like that was a good thing for your team because it probably motivated them to.
That loss helped us. I'm not going to lie. That loss really, really helped us.
And I didn't want to we'll get into that later, but I mean, PV, you got to see them play, and PV was, they're a different looking team this year, and that's why I was excited about them, and that's why I'm excited about them getting into the playoffs right where they did. I think that's fair for them. And,
sure.
And I think that it gives them a chance to at least get that first round win.
Well, you know what? My hat's off to Coach Howell, Coach Worth, and his staff, their staffs. I'm going to tell you right now, and I was talking a little bit earlier before the show, when you have your third, fourth, quarterback, and you're trying to make do with your A-back as the quarterback now, or your linebacker as the quarterback, you lose Farley in the middle, and Jarrett's filled that in very nice. And you lose their starting quarterback that played against us. If they were put together when they played us, like then, now, I think they're a higher seed and they got more wins. And I think that with the adjustments that Coach Hal's made and Kevin's made on offense to fit, it's got to be the prototypical fit the offense to your athlete. And, Grego has just come on now, and he understands the role. At first, he had some hiccups, and they had to just run, and really grind it out with him to keep the game close. But the amazing thing is they kept every game close. They kept it within a reach. And other than Cleveland, I don't think, in the Texas team, but that got away from them late.
Yeah.
The Texas game got away from them late.
Yeah, they were still in that in the third quarter. They were still in that game.
And so, but that's through attrition. You got people all over the field in new spots, and now he's got two-way players, and he's got players doing things that they're not accustomed to doing, but look where they sit right now. And I think that's a testament to Coach Hal and his staff, and just his belief in his kids, and to do that, because I don't know too many coaches out there right now that can take, anybody from defense and just say, okay, you're my quarterback now, and be successful. You can do it, but, Coach Hal's been so successful this year, and it was such a hard-fought game when we played him. And my hats, and I told him afterwards, that was a fun game. It was just fun. It was fun. It was competitive, and there was a lot of swings and blows, and it was so much fun for us. But we needed that as a program. We needed that, but I think it also helped them. But then everything happened after that I'm like, oh my gosh, the run of bad luck.
Yes,
Farley's
exactly.
incident, and then, the quarterback getting hurt at Durango, and then so on and so forth. And every week, and he's, putting people in just pieces, don't find this guy. Please let me hide this guy right here. And he disguises it well. When you play Jared, if he's got a weak spot, you're not going to see it right away. And when you do see it, it might be too late, because Kevin can grind out 6-7 minutes a quarter. He's going to grind that out. And so you're not going to touch the ball. And so if you don't strike within 20, we call it the 21-second mark, you're in for a long day. You're going to sit there and watch them hold the ball, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, and I think that's what lost teams to death. And looking at 6A right now, you're right. They have Los Lunas. Last year, I watched at Los Lunas. You guys remember they lost by a kick, but they also missed a kick in that game. Remember, they missed a kick in that game. And two kicks in that game. One early, one at the end he missed. And they just beat Farmington with a kick, huh? And Jeff's got that defense just cooking right now, and I'm excited to see what Scorpions in the future are going to have. Coach Dalton's done a great job with his staff over there and his kids, and they're going to be something to be, really, really. But you guys are right. They're in the SEC of 6A.
That's an even better way to put it. I love that.
You're in the SEC, and their district is all over this bracket. Their district's all over this bracket, and the thing that, if I was in 6A, Las Cruces is the mark this year. If you want to win, you got to have Las Cruces in your mind and know what they're doing. I think that Jared gets by Los Lunas, and they're going to go play Cruces, and Cruces, it's unfortunate, but you know what? You got to run the gauntlet somewhere in this bracket, and you might as well start with number one. They're going to go down there at the Field of Dreams. If you've never been down there, the Field of Dreams is an exciting place to play football. Cruces loves their football. When Cruces plays Mayfield, used to be 20,000 at NMSU.
I remember that.
Now they have the Field of Dreams packed wall to wall. It'll be packed wall to wall for this game. So, I hope and pray that Piedra Vista gets a lot of travel out of it, because they're going to beat Los Lunas this week. So I promise you guys. And it's going to be exciting.
I'm with you. I think.
Do you feel like they kind of diluted Las Cruces a little bit, because in Centennial down there and Mayfield,
they're talking about adding another high school.
Man,
Mayfield really took the brunt of that.
Yeah, I was going to say, because Mayfield used to just be a powerhouse, and then all of a sudden they just kind of fell off the map, and I was like,
Organ Mountain. When they opened Organ Mountain, they took a little hit, but then when Centennial hit, everybody took, even Las Cruces took a hit on that. But now the parity's back, right? They're probably out there telling the kids, come to my school, come to this school, this school. Well, Coach Ocampo at Centennial, every year, year in and year out, even when he was at Manzano, he's in the Final Four. He finds a way to get in the Final Four, and Centennial's going to be there. They're going to face Cruces, Eldo and La Cueva. La Cueva's young. I mean, Farmington had them on the ropes, could have won that game for the overtime.
Absolutely.
And that would have been a huge win for Jeff and his staff and those kids, for Farmington Scorpions. And now you got, so I see Centennial on the top and Las Cruces fighting it out in the semis. And then on the bottom side, you got Cleveland. Here's the thing I'll tell everybody about Cleveland. Cleveland runs a handful of plays probably the first 5 games of the season, and they never change. They never change. They don't get into their playbook until later in the season. And when they lost to Las Cruces, There's a handful of plays. They don't change. This is what we do. We got to build on it. So the matchup in this classification is going to be Las Cruces and Cleveland, and Cleveland's going to upset Cruces in the state championship.
You got him beating them. It's hard to beat him
now
twice.
He's got more of his playbook in. They're going to see more different things. And
that's interesting.
To me, that's the upset that Cleveland, and it's the second time they meet this year.
My guess is there's a few in there that he hasn't shown yet either.
So, no, he always. I mean, you're going to see in that semi against, let's see, Rio Rancho and Rio's going to play Hobbs. In that matchup, Rio's going to beat Carlsbad. Carlsbad's been on a good roll. They lost last week, but it'll be Rio and Hobbs. Rio has to go down to Hobbs, but Rio Rancho travels well. They came up here. They traveled well. They had a great game. They started a little slow, and I think that's just because, it's the unknown. Anytime you play anybody that's unknown, you don't know what Coach Dalton's going to have, and I'll tell you what, he took a 3-5 defense, turned it into his old 4-2 that he used to have when they won state, and right now they're phenomenal. Farmington, they didn't make it. I think there's some teams here they should have made it over.
They just had some tough luck, but we were impressed. They had some impressive games and moments that we covered. I was like, man, this team they're sneaky good.
Oh yeah,
I mean, they were like you said, they're young. Coach Dalton, he'll have them going probably big time next year. But man, one you have to watch for, and Volcano Vista lost their quarterback, Coach House over at Cibola. If you guys remember, he used to be the Cleveland head coach. Then he went to UNM, and he was the offensive coordinator under Ramirez. And now he's back at Cibola. They look good. And they're coming on. Now,
I like that.
PV got him, but Volcano lost his quarterback. So I'm curious on this game. That, to me, I like both coaches, Whalen and Coach House, but I think that Cibola has a chance in that game. I think that without that quarterback, and it's been recent, so I don't know what how they matched it up, because Volcano lost a couple of games that surprised me at the end, and it's because I found out they're minus a quarterback. So I hope Coach House and his boys get to play Cleveland. But anybody that's going to play the Storm, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
They're gonna fight. They're gonna get ready for this run.
How many state championships do they have in the last several years?
So they have, 4 out of the last 5?
Yeah, I was going to say.
So, they lost the one to Aiden Armenta at Cruces a couple years ago, and that's the only one. So I think out of 8 years, they were there 7. They've been there. They're just a perennial for any program, and Artesia loves playing them. They're like, that's the benchmark. If you want to play anybody in the state of New Mexico and get recognized, Cleveland's the one you want to play.
Absolutely.
So,
and they've had the most D1 players coming out, the last
absolutely.
10 years. Every time you hear something, their players are all over the place.
Dreyer started for ASU this last week, so that's
I was going to say
huge.
that Dreyer just went to ASU after last season,
Yeah.
And he was a stud basketball player, too. We got to see him playing in at Farmington in basketball. That kid.
Oh, yeah, it was insane. Dreyer's just a phenom, but yeah, they said he was going to start at ASU because they had some health issues. So, just all the love to New Mexico. And, of course, Volcano Vista, you got, I can't even think right now, the stud over at the college there.
Oh, at Vanderbilt?
Vanderbilt, yeah. Pavia, that's it.
Yeah.
Pavia. Pavia is probably the standard for New Mexico. He's putting us on the map. He's doing great things.
Yeah.
And if you got Dreyer doing things at ASU, I think we're going to start getting a few more looks, in New Mexico, just trying to dig out those kids and those athletes. And I'm really excited about that, to be honest with you guys.
That's what my brother-in-law said, because he's over there in Texas or whatever, and he played for UNM and all that, and he says that he's like, there's talent in New Mexico, but they just don't get seen like these other states do.
Well, who played the other night? I think it was a couple of weeks ago. Duncanville and somebody played, and they said on the field there was 16 D1 athletes that night.
Wow.
We don't see that. We're never going to see that.
Wouldn't you like to have 16 D1 athletes?
Yes. I don't know how to answer this. Yes.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's, and I know we don't have it, but I'll tell you guys right now, the Horsemen are on a good run, and I don't see anybody beating
St.
Joey.
Mike's, no way.
Yeah, I don't see anybody beating Joey over there again. Private school.
Quickly, because we're going to jump into 4A.
Yeah.
I'm dying to get there.
Yeah.
St. Mike's is another private school.
Yes, absolutely.
Dominating 3A.
Yes.
For
years.
20 years, 30 years, whatever. I mean, it's not even close.
Mm-hmm.
You know, again, we're going to have to bring back, and we're going to have this conversation. Maybe we're going to have to try to bring in a number of different coaches, and let's just have an open forum, because when does that end? You can't. Those 3A teams cannot compete with St. Mike's and what they're doing.
Soccer, volleyball, basketball coaches, and some football guys, and we just sit around here and have a good time and have that discussion, because I think there is a lot to be said about that. And I think that there's enough to have their own open league. And I don't think it hurts any of them. I think St. Mike's can stand their grounds with Albuquerque Academy, and can stand their grounds with Pius and Legacy and all them in football. Now, Academy's track team, come on, guys. They win a lot of those. Soccer, volleyball, but then you got Hope in there too, right? So that's gonna break it up too, and I'll let them fight that out. So like you said, the public schools can have an opportunity, and that's why they went to these different districts, is they wanted more opportunity for more schools to do, to be in the playoffs and be successful, the ones that never get there, and we're seeing that, but you still have issues in every sport with private schools. It always comes down to the private schools, and I think that's the problem that we're seeing, and I think it's more relevant now, or prevalent now, than it was before, because the Hope Christian girls, I didn't know this until I went and watched us play them last year and talking to their fans and how they're nationally ranked, and I'm like, what? How is that fair to another? I mean, Aztecs going to play them, or did they play them?
They played them, they lost 10-1.
Yeah, I mean, at least they scored.
Yeah.
I mean, not many teams score on them. And it's a quick game. It's over fast. But how is that fair in the playoffs? You have a loaded team that could beat all 4, 5, and 6A schools. That, to me, is not. Now, it'd be different. Let's say 5 and 6A in football, somebody in 3A could beat all of us, like St. Mike's. Then they would have that more of a discussion, right? I think if that was happening, you would really see a push. But it's soccer, right? It's basketball in them. You don't see the push. I mean, because here's why. Our four corners in basketball and wrestling is fantastic in baseball and softball. Yeah. And so they don't see that now, right? Yeah. Because they're not the top.
That's a good point.
But you look at volleyball and track and soccer, in both boys and girls, it's a very, very much an unfair advantage.
Oh, yes.
Not even close. You're right. It's a problem. It really is a problem. We're going to come back and talk about that, but absolutely. I'm going to push forward into 4A, because that's what's important here. I mean, here we go. We've got this again. I didn't get this. 2A. Are you going with Texaco or Legacy Academy?
I'm going with Legacy.
Okay, so we're going with the upset. Yep. Yeah. Well, is it an upset being number 2? I don't know.
I think what I was worried about when Legacy played Santa Rosa is, could they stop the run? Well, apparently they can, because they had 3 4th and 1s at the goal line that they stood. And I think they're going to match up with Texaco, because Texaco doesn't run the spinner, but they do run double tight, smash mouth football, and I think they're built to handle that.
Well, I think we all agree. Navajo Prep, we feel they're moving on, but yes. Legacy Academy, what you're going with, in 5A. Did you say Artesia?
Artesia.
It's hard
and
not
Roswell.
to go away with that, but are you going with Artesia or are you going with Roswell?
I'm going with Artesia.
Okay.
And right now, Jeremy's going to be hard to beat.
And in 6A, really is Cleveland beating Las Cruces an upset? I mean, I don't think so. I mean, so their only loss. Yeah,
that would be they would both end 12-1, and they beat each other.
so I mean, that's a game you want to watch. Unfortunately, they're all played at the same time.
Like you said earlier, it's hard to beat a team twice in a season.
It's so hard to beat a team twice.
I'm going with Cleveland. I think Cleveland's going to take it.
Yeah. I like it. I like Cleveland. Well, so we've got Bloomfield number 1 in 4A, undefeated, except the hiccup against Pedro Vista, ran through district. One of the things I want you to talk about when we start getting up into that upper echelon of your bracket is what maybe your plans are for next year, because obviously your buildings, you've built something incredibly special over at Bloomfield.
Thank you.
And I know you're also shooting out there. You want to try to play the Artesias and the Goddards and the Roswells, and that's really where that's going to change the name of what Bloomfield is considered being the dominant presence in 4A. Now it's hopping up into 5A, and you're playing them big dog teams where a lot of people feel like that's
Yeah.
Like the whole Navajo Prep thing, you got to beat those southern teams in order to kind of get that really big name stamped like Artesia has and stuff. And I feel you guys are really close. I mean, I feel you're right there.
Well, don't you want to play those games? You want to see where you're at. You want your kids to see those looks. I mean, I say all that because it took me 3 seasons before St. Pius or Albuquerque Academy would even get on my schedule in soccer because we had to prove ourselves, and they were like, okay, you're good enough, we'll come play you. Like
that happens in every sport around the state.
And it's not that I wanted to play the private schools, but it was like, if we want to get the seeding, like get in that top 4 or whatever, you have to play those schools so that
somewhere
they can
down
see,
the line you have to play
even
them.
if you lose and you lose 1-0 or 2-1 or something like that, okay, you guys can play with these guys, but it's hard to get those guys on your schedule. I don't know if it's the same way in football. But
football's just a different character and the physicality of it. Artesia and Cleveland, they don't want a team, especially, you have to look at this a couple different ways. One is if they lose to us. That's the thing that they worry about. Bigger schools always worry, well, if we lose to you. The thing that I love about Jared, Jared's not about a win-loss guy. He wants competition. He doesn't have to travel. And do we meet the mark? And we've had this discussion for years, and he's excited to play us just like we're excited. And I'm hoping, trying to get Farmington on my schedule next year because I would love to play Farmington, and then I don't have to travel.
Yes.
Okay. I was contacted by West Mesa at the state wrestling last year, so we're going to put them on the schedule for game 1 next year because I told him we'd do a 2-year contract. And I'll tell everybody on the radio, and you can ask Jeremy, when the new districts came out, I called Artesia to get them on the schedule. And he said week 4, well, you guys know our district starts week 4, and that was the only open date. And it's funny because it's simply because of the Lincoln County Wars. He has to play Carlsbad, he has to play Hobbs, and he has to play there's another team down. Anyways, that's a big pride issue down south for them. They have to play those games, and he said he would love to play us. He said, yeah, Mike, I would love to play you guys. And I asked, if we ever do get a chance to play neutral site, because it's such a long for both of us, and try to do a neutral site with them. There's been some 4A schools that have kind of reached out. I'm not a big believer in playing you twice. I don't want to play schools twice. Yeah. And it's no disrespect. It's just it's always hard because if you beat up on a team, and a perfect example that I can use is Silver beat the crap out of us 46-6. Then we turn around and beat them in state. It's games like that that'll come back to haunt you. It's like, why did I play them now when I could have saved it for the state because it's unknown. Now we don't know each other. I had 6 kids out of that game, but I'm not using that. That's on me.
We remember that game then. They were talking trash.
So it's one of those things. I own it. That's my fault. I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared for losing those kids. We had kids that can fill in, and we reload. We don't rebuild, and we have young ones that can play right now. So that's been my belief anywhere I've ever been, whether it was Prep, Farmington, now here at Bloomfield. I got that from Brad. Brad was probably the best mentor any coach in this profession to learn how to build things, to grow and how to get you started. And I thought, Coach Alcorn brought me over and gave me a chance. And it was a way to get my fingers in the pie and start, developing tradition back at Bloomfield and believe in yourself and believe in the norm is not to lose. The norm is not to lose. I got there, and it was weird. They were okay with that. I'm not ever okay with losing. You're going to lose games, but you got to fight. You got to have fight in before you lose, and that's one of my big pet peeves. I've listened to you guys for weeks about, different programs or teams. I don't use program loosely because you got to build something to have a program. You don't just inherit a program. You have to build it yourself. And, there's a lot of teams around here that want to be programs and they want to know what it takes. If you're not willing to sacrifice early, then you're never going to have a program because the standard that you're setting is it's okay to do this or do that and I won't get in trouble. Well, if you're a senior going out and the freshmen see that, you'll never get that out of your system because they're going to tell their parents, they're going to be sophomores, you get on them, they're going to tell their parents, well, you did this. They're juniors now. Well, now that freshman just saw what that junior got away with. And now you have parents involved where parents shouldn't be involved. So if you live by a standard and I live by a hard standard, and you both know me from coaching First of all, my standard is a high expectation. I have a high expectation, and everybody says, well, today's youth can't do that. They can, but you have to be willing to drag it out of them. You have to be willing to give them something that makes it visible to them. They don't know what fantasy is anymore. They have a phone, they can talk to each other, and that's how they live their life. So you have to physically give them something that they can hang on to and for them. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we got at Bloomfield now is we got it rolling, we got them believing. I was asked this last Friday, what is it? And it's that special thing that they believe in. I can't tell you what that is. It's just something culturally that, they believe in what you're saying. When you have kids in any program telling other kids in other programs, well, it's this over here or that, and they don't really care, you've lost that kid. If he believes you don't care in any fashion, any coach, he will never give you what you're asking out of him. And that's one of the things that I'm going to tell you guys right now. Only thing I did was hire the smartest people I could that had the same mindset. Coach Lynch is a legacy in Bloomfield. Yeah. I mean, the Yaffle Field's named after him. And his belief in Bloomfield athletics is the bar. To me, is the bar in Bloomfield. For any coach, you should talk to Coach Lynch. I got Jose back with me finally. Me and Jose go back 36 years. And Jose is a gift. And then the lineage, why do you have so many coaches? I'm asked that constantly. Why do you have so many coaches? I only have 10 paid varsity spots. I have 19 coaches. 9 guys dedicate their time. 9 guys take away from their family. 9 guys want to be involved to help these kids, and they're involved in a good fashion. They're not there to be negative. They're not there to do things that are going to go against your program, and they see the same light I do. I've had a couple of hiccups along the way for my tenure over at Bloomfield. I've had a couple of differences, but I think, you come work for me and it's pretty simple. Don't lie to the kids and don't make a scene with coaches. Do it in the coach's office. And if you do those 2 things, you'll stay with me a long time. Kids today, you cannot live your past life through a kid today because he'll check you. He has this device, and he'll look you up about that quick. And if you lie to them, they'll never trust you in what you say. And that's one of the biggest things that I talk to my young coaches about is you're not here to relieve your youth. You are here to be successful in a situation that you're put in. So what do I do with 19 coaches? Well, 4 of them do C-team, 4 of them do JV. But on Friday nights, they're allowed to travel. That's their payment, right? That's the however you say it. On Friday, let's go to the game. I want to be part of varsity. And then the others that I have, the paid coaches that I have, they're all position coaches. And I learned this from Cooper Henderson a long time ago. Let's look at the theory. If you have 1 teacher for 4 kids or 1 teacher for 30 kids, what would you rather have? So I have 1 coach per position. Yeah. I have an inside receivers coach. I have an outside receivers coach. I have a quarterback coach, a running back coach, and I have 2 O-line coaches. I have 2 D-line coaches. I have a linebacker coach and an outside linebacker. I have a corners coach and I have a safety coach. And then they all get together with Coach Lynch because he's the defensive coordinator, and he divvies up the plan for the week. Jose is my assistant, and he's also entangled with my 2 offensive coordinators, and I've heard you guys talk about, hey, they got 2 guys that call. I started that a couple of years ago because sometimes we get trapped in our own worst enemy, and that's our brain. Yes. And if you have 2 individuals, and I tried it last year, right? Well, it was successful. Cody and Chad Lance have done a great job. Yeah. They both are young, and they both are eager, and they have a mind, like they have their own mind. It's not yes, yes, yes. It's like, I don't want to do that, I want to do this. And so here's the hard part. Poor Peanut or poor Blake, okay, looking like, what are you doing to me? Hey, okay, congrats. What are you doing to me? And stuff. And it just goes game to game, and it just depends. Have you ever been watching a game like, he's just off tonight, but that kid looks really good? And so I take that and I put that in this offensive coordinator spot, and I made both of them that because at first it was going to be whoever survives it comes out, but we won. So if you guys know how superstitious I am. I know you do. Mm-hmm. I'm not changing anything.
I'm the same way.
So I'm not changing anything. And if that means that we got to go from now until I retire, get ran off, whatever, that's what I'll do. I'm not going to leave. I'm not going to string these guys out that have dedicated numerous hours on their film and what they do. They sit down with the kids and they do so much, and that's just with touching a few receivers and a quarterback. That's 2 quarterbacks and 5 receivers that they're dealing with. Even though we have 24 receivers and we have 5 quarterbacks, but you got to always next man up. And so the biggest thing in Bloomfield is we have to be ready at any moment for any change. So whether you get first team reps or second team reps, you might rep with the first team, but you're limited reps and just to go. And everybody's like, well, when Wyatt goes in there, he looks like, well, he's been repping with the first team. He's already been repping with the first team.
I have to tell you, I was pulling up some footage for one of our shows, and I'm like, well, let me look at some of these different touchdowns or whatever, and I was like, oh, that's Babcock. That's not Shower. And he dropped a dime in the corner of the end zone. I mean, that kid, until I realized it wasn't Chavarria up there, I was like, oh my gosh, that's Babcock. He looked, so I understand what you're saying, because it didn't look any different to me, until I realized it was someone different on the film. Of course he's built a little different or whatever, but I'm just watching the play and checking things out, and I was like, oh, that's a different quarterback.
He's 2 inches taller than Peanut, so you can't see it on film. Yeah, he's 2 inches taller, and he's going to get bigger. His joints are still open, so he's still going to get taller. Because
he's a sophomore?
He's a freshman.
Well, and since we're kind of on that subject, I mean, we got to call the 8th grade, Bloomfield Aztec game or whatever. It was a blast. But that Marson kid, I didn't realize he's still a 7th grader. And that kid, I mean, it's just like
we got him coming.
Just reloading. That's what I'm saying. I know it's like just down the line. You're just coming right up the pipe.
That young man. I was having a discussion with his parents, and I told him, I said, and I like to take some credit for this. Not that it has anything to do with how well he played, but I'll never forget the first time we seen Blake step on the field was down in Albuquerque, or Valencia, was I called Albuquerque. And I said on that radio, this is a star in the making right here. He's only a freshman, but you watch by the time he's a senior. I mean, I called it. Fast forward to that kid that's a 7th grader that we seen play against Aztec. And I seen him play, and I seen the same exact characteristics from Blake that I do in that young man.
Yes.
On that 7th grade team. And I was talking to his parents. I said, man, just some of the decisions that he makes. He's not forcing the ball down the field. He realizes I got a heck of a lot of room to run. I'm going to tuck and take it off. He understands when to hand the football off, when to roll out. I mean, he was just so smart out there on the field. And that's what we talked about. Bloomfield they reload it. But I want to go over something you'd mentioned, because honestly, we could talk 4A. We don't need to. It's going to be Bloomfield and St.
The only team beat Bloomfield is Bloomfield. That's what I say.
Bingo.
That's the only team that's going to beat Bloomfield in 4A is Bloomfield. Period. End of story. So we're going to move on. Let's jump into something just really quick, because I want to ask you something.
Sure.
Don't you think that's the problem with what we're dealing with these high school kids these days? You mentioned that one of the teachers or parents had mentioned to you, well, you can't do that or say that. And I think, isn't that the problem, that we think that we don't give these kids enough credit to say, hey, maybe they went that direction, but they want camaraderie with people, and they want to be in some type of structure, and we need to stop giving them the excuse of, you can't do that with them, or that's going to be too difficult, or that's going to be too hard. Well, how the hell do you know if you're not willing to try and change that? I mean, don't you feel like we're really hamstringing?
Right now, we're hamstringing with a lot of parental issues, because it amazes me, and it's funny, we're going through this school board stuff right now, all this election and stuff, and how they're there for the kids and stuff, but the same people that are there for the kids are handicapping the kids. The same people that say that, they want success. Well, anytime you crack down on being stern, right, now it's not the betterment of the kid, it's the coach's fault. You don't know what you're talking about, even though if he's there the whole time and I never acknowledge him, well, then you never talk to my son. You can't win on either side of this.
You're right.
And so here's the happy medium. I think the communication with the parents has to be up front. Okay, I think, and I tell all my parents, if a kid misses 2 unexcused, he's off the team. They sign a contract. They know if it's 2 unexcused, you're gone. If you, we do quarter things, because when I first got here, it was miss 3 days and still playing a game. I'm not about that. Okay? What I'm about is, if you're going to play for me, if you miss a practice, you miss a quarter. You miss 2 practices, you miss a half. You miss 3, you wear your jersey on Friday. There's no excuse to miss practice, none at all. You'll be amazed what I found out, that all dental, eye, and whatever medical appointments are always at 3:30. So I'm like, you guys know when practice is.
That's when all mine are too.
So you'll be amazed.
How did that happen?
I always laugh, because my parent meeting, and I tell them, and I apologize. And guys, I hope everybody knows out there this is just for fun, but I always tell them, the biggest time family loss that there is in football is 2-a-days. You are going to lose several grandparents, several aunts and uncles, because kids cannot make that week for whatever reason. So I look at the parents and I apologize. I'm sorry you're going to lose 3 of your grandparents and 4 aunts, because that's what happens. During 2-a-days, we always lose. But you want to know what half of the problem is? The parents are okay with that. The parents' excuse will call you and make that excuse. I'm not saying that people don't die, guys. Don't get me wrong. I understand that. But have you ever seen a volume of maybe 10 or 12 grandparents dying every August 1st through, every first week of August? I'm like, you guys, we are the most unluckiest families in all of San Juan County, because all of our relatives die at that time. And it's just, you know what it is, right? You know what it is.
When I'm listening to you talk, I'm on, because I made up a whole fitness thing that they had. I went through it. My biggest thing was, you have to over-communicate everything to the parents and to the players. And they knew, right, I was the same way, like, you missed this, you missed that, you missed this, you missed that, and you signed this thing, and it's like, I got it right here, you signed it, you were okay with it. We went through every one of these things at a parent meeting and a kid meeting, and I made you guys all sign it while you were sitting there, and so I 100% agree with you.
It's as simple as, we are going to play, let's say our game next week, we're going to play, and I'm just making this up, we're going to play Thursday at noon. We'll put it on Band app. Every team has an app now to put it out to the parents. So you're going to play at noon on Thursday. The next question, and I'm not kidding you guys, is, if we're playing on Thursday, what time?
Yeah, what time? Yeah, I was exactly going to say, what time?
And I'm like, what? And then
You're so right.
Tonight, there's no school tomorrow in Bloomfield because, well, none of the schools because of voting. You guys know that, right?
Yeah.
So here was my final talk before they left the field. We have practice in the film room at 3:30. Hoorah, 3:30. I've had 2 text messages, what time's practice tomorrow? Because my son does not know what time practice is. And I'm like, it's the nature of it. Anymore, it's just comical to me. And I just keep regurgitating 3:30 tomorrow, 3:30 tomorrow, 3:30 tomorrow. Because I could fight how is it possible that I just told you this less than 2 hours ago and you don't remember 2 hours? But they don't, guys. They literally.
And it's across the board. This is not just, understand, folks, this is not a Bloomfield thing. This is everywhere thing.
Everywhere, yeah.
Every coach out there listening is going,
every one of those coaches is like, I know what 100%. He's saying.
And so if you want the old adage, if you want a team to be led by parents, you're going to get 50 different opinions. If you want your team to be led by a coach, you're going to have one opinion. And some of these places that are having problems that I listen to, you have 50 people directing, one place. And that's never going to work. It's never, because one, why do they have input? Do they have a kid? If they have a kid now, it's worse. Because they're directing it to the betterment of their kid, their child. They're not looking at the 50 athletes that you have or the 80 athletes that you have. And if you have a group of people that are unhappy, is it the betterment of the place for the team, or is it the betterment for their situation? And I think that's where, well, I can tell you my own personal knowledge. When people hate you, it's for the betterment to get rid of you. Because they don't like you. It has nothing to do betterment of kids, betterment of program, anything. They just don't like you. And so you get 5, right? Those 5 get some. It's amazing how that grass fire works. If you ever run a campaign out there, folks, I am telling you right now, grass fires, they last 15 minutes. They really do. In the time frame I've learned over campaigns, they last about 15 minutes, but it's the most ruthless people trying to get at you. And that's when you get people that think that they need to listen to that and move forward is the betterment of the team. I told you guys, I don't say program a lot. Team, it'll never work. It's never going to work until you say, okay, we're going to hire this person and we believe in you and his word is final. And that it's got to be that way. And if we don't, we're going to lose our sport. We're definitely going to lose our sport. Yeah. Here's an amazing thing, Stephen, and you know this. You know there's more concussions in soccer than there is football.
Absolutely.
Yep.
But do you know why parents won't let their kids play football? concussions.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's more in basketball than there is football.
Number one, concussion, soccer. Number two, cheerleading.
Yeah.
Cheerleaders, second top cause of
that's why I never
concussions out there.
Yeah,
That's
me
right.
too.
Well, hey, really quick, I know this is, hopefully we don't get too far into the rabbit hole with this, but I do want to kind of bring up the fact, we've talked to a lot of coaches around here. We're involved with a lot of coaches and a lot of fans. We get to talk to a lot of different people, and I think sometimes we get so caught up in this is a big rivalry game. This is a big game for this. Rankings are stuck on that. We need to pivot, whatever the case is.
Sure.
But it's a tough situation when you're built the way you are with the team that you're built with.
Yes.
What do anybody want you to do? Just stop coaching, stop telling people that they can't come be a part of your team.
It's not your fault, but it is your fault.
So the weird thing about
You're the scapegoat and supposed to be the hero.
So the weird thing about that to me is this. What are you supposed to do when you're running through your district, and it's no fault to you? You're playing the teams that are put in front of you. You do the best job you can. Of course, you got a highly quality team like Pedro Vista on that first round. You're looking to bring in Farmington, which again is another ginormous step to that. But how tough is that for you publicly? You're so involved with every Aztec, Farmington, PV, Kirtland, Navajo Prep. You always reach out to those people and knowing in your mind and in your heart that you got a game to win. But dadgummit, man, you get 6 games in your district to get prepped for what really, hopefully, is any team and athlete. Steven's coached at a very high level, just as you have.
Yes.
And he's had very high-level soccer players that he's had to coach to go out there, too. But there's times where the games are going to get away from you, but you got to give your players playing time, because yes, it's something in the district and all that, and we'll talk to Steven about that, how he felt when it came to that point in a different kind of realm of the sport and not just focus on football, but be a good conversation between the two of you. But how do you combat that? Because if you don't, and you beat a team 50 or 60-0 over here, then you did what you needed to do, because you got to get your players playing time. I don't care what anybody says out there. And if you're going to complain about that, you absolutely do not understand the sport, period, end of story. But so you got to get your players out there to play. But then on this side over here, well, shouldn't have beat us that bad, or maybe you should have kneeled it, or maybe you should have ran the football. Well, then let's throw that another wrench into that. You want me to kneel the ball down at the 2-yard line? Do you know how embarrassing that is for your kids out there?
Absolutely.
Do you know how embarrassing it is for the fans or the coaches or anything like that? So the point I'm just trying to get at is just touch a little bit. And I know you and Steven can kind of bounce each other off because you guys have coached at such a high level like that. But walk into that a little bit.
I learned a long time ago that, and I'll tell everybody out there, right? So a lot of coaches and stuff, I've had my ass kicked.
Yeah.
I won state in 2012 at Aztec, and the very next year when Steinfeld took over, we went to Roswell the second week, and Sam Jernigan hung 63 points in a half. It was 63-0 at half. So I know exactly how that feels, but I wasn't mad. It just showed me how unprepared I was with that team. And then we went home, we made corrections, we got better. We lost to Los Lunas that same year in season. We should have beat them in semis to go play Goddard again. But that taught me a valuable lesson. It taught me that I was not ready for that game, and you cannot look ahead in games. Just because you won state, you started the first game, you did really good, and you think you're going to coast with some kids, it's not going to work like that. And Sam pointed that out to me very, very quickly. And Sam came across, and I apologize, guys. I wasn't the head coach. I was the defense coordinator, and I said, Sam, and we knew each other for years. And I said, we just didn't have a team for you today. I apologize. Because I don't think that was his fault. He did what he needed to do. And we just talked about a valuable thing, and Steve brought that up about having them sign. Do you want me to be strict enough to my kids that they got to be there, but also be cavalier when it comes to, hey, you guys are okay, just lean back. Do you know what that does to an athlete? Well, Coach, you tell us to always play hard, play hard, play hard. Now you're telling us to do what? To back off? Well, then everybody's like, well, you got all these kids to play all these positions. Okay, at what point do I start subbing kids? I don't know your realm in soccer. I don't know how that, transitions, because it's 40 and 40, and, we have quarters and clips, and we do everything. I am a clip guy, right? Every rep counts. What rep do I intervene? Because now with the 50-point rule, you got to remember at Aztec, there was no 50-point rule back then. Yeah. You could hang 80 if you wanted
with
to.
With the Hirsch days. And
there was no 50-point rule. Yeah. But, okay, so we lost a game in the semis to Los Alamos, 28-21. And our kids were tired because we kept pulling them out. From that day forward, as a coaching staff, we sat down and said, that did not help us by pulling our kids out. So I learned early on as a younger coach that if I feel sorry for you and I pull my kids off, you just created a habit for them. And that habit kicked our butt in Los Alamos. We had to play every single snap. Okay, and that year, one of the coaches on the Aztecs team, Spencer, can't think of his dang name right now. But anyways, Dixon, he was one of our players in that game. And when we lost, he's like, Coach, we should have never pulled off. And that hurt us, right? So then here's the other one. Here's the other angle. Some of the games this year only went, let's see, the Kirtland game only went 40 clips. There was more defensive clips than offense. There was literally 12 offensive plays. At what point do they want me to pull off? Because they think I'm doing something illegal or being mean. I'm not being mean. My seniors worked all week to play in that game. It ended at half, but that's not my fault. What is my fault is I still ask Peanut if it's okay if Wyatt plays, because I leave it up to my seniors. He said, yeah, Coach, absolutely, let him play. Okay, and we're in the beginning of the second quarter. So that means he played 6 plays. 6. Is that fair to him that he played 6 plays? Because when we play in state this year, defense and offense are probably going to roll probably 70, 75 clips. And he played 6. So how is that fair to him? We play Aztec, and it's unfortunate that Aztec's going through I don't want to say a makeover, but a transition in philosophy over here. Well, is it fair to my kids that, again, there were 16 offensive clips? We played 2 freshman quarterbacks, Caden and Wyatt. We played both of them. So that means Peanut lost a minimum of 5, right? When you kick out the penalties, Peanut had 8 snaps. So again, do I tell him? So is the betterment of my team or what people's perception of the game is? And so I'm always going to err on the side of my team. My team, those kids have dedicated sweat, blood, and tears. Peanuts followed Blake for 3 years, guys. 3 years he followed Blake. And he was just as good. I'll be honest with you. Peanut was just as good as Blake. But Blake got the edge because he was the senior. And we look at some of that stuff. But I'm telling you right now, if my freshmen, and this is the other thing, I don't understand coaches' philosophy. They're like, we don't play freshman and sophomore. And here's their analogy. Every freshman and sophomore you play is a touchdown that you lose. And I don't agree with that. Adam Lucero was a freshman, played Rio Rancho. We lost by 1 point. And then Rio Rancho dropped us the next year, didn't want to play us.
Because you almost beat them.
Because we almost beat them. And they paid the fine. They didn't want to play us. I don't believe that is an analogy that people should focus on the end score, because we don't. All we focus on is the reps that we can obtain in that game. If the game ends, then I'm trying to condition, and I learned this. I was a defensive coordinator in the early 2000s, and Artesia, when you watched them on tape, and even to this day, they don't know they're in the fourth quarter. They don't know whether they're winning or losing. They know they get another snap. And I watched them lose by 21 points to Las Cruces back then. And when you watch the last plays of that game, they're playing like it's the first play of that game. You know how hard that is to condition your kids to just play the game? It's very, very hard. Not very few of us know how to do that. And it took me hours to talk to Mr. Henderson. And how do you do that? And it's a belief. It's just a belief. You go to Artesia, there's a belief. Walk in that stadium, you're like, okay, I see why they have a belief. But we are trying to build that. We are trying to build something in Bloomfield that is, one, brings the community together, because that's going to make them, the most impact starting the school year, because you have wrestling. Look at Aztec Wrestling, phenomenal. Coach Levi and them, and Lester over there has turned that place around in wrestling. And Dom at basketball, and Brian Mosley, and it's the belief. But I'm the start in the face of the school year, and I believe that impacts every male sport in our school. And I don't want to let them down. I don't want to let the coaches, those students, and I dang sure don't want to let our community down. But I've got to tell you guys that, there was two people that were instrumental in hiring me, and it's a little, it's Ben Tensei believed in me, believed in what I could bring, and Tony D. Herrera, who's on the school board, believed what I could do. And you got to have people believe in what you're going to do. Yeah. Those individuals, along with Dr. Mizell, brought me in, and I'm not going to give it up. You're going to have to force me out. And if people are mad because scores are lopsided, then what can they do to help that coach make their team better? It's not about players. It's not about my kid. It's about what can I do as a parent to make that team better. Because if I was an Aztec alum and I just lived here and had no kids, I would be down there asking Mr. Conley, what can I do to help the program? And you guys will be amazed how many people come up and ask me that. What can I do to, they have no kids. Our number one Bobcat fan, Mr. Favorino, he has no kids. He just follows Bloomfield athletics. That's all athletics, whether it's girls or boys. He goes to every event. He is our number one Bobcat fan. And you guys have them here in Aztec. I'm sorry, Stephen. You guys have them here. And when you were winning, the people that reached out to you. But the winning didn't come easy. You knew what the end picture and the end result, we're going to play Hope. We're going to play Academy and Pius back then, not Hope, Pius and Academy. You knew the dead end. But I remember watching your teams, and I remember the belief that they didn't think they were ever going to lose. How did you build that? Was it just because you listened to everybody, or did you went in with your mission, your focus, and your vision, and you installed it in your coaches and those girls and those families? And to this date, you talk Aztec girls soccer in the past, your name comes up. Every time. Every time. Every time. And that's the impactment you have to have with your kids. If every day you go to practice and there's a new problem with a parent, you're no longer running that team. You cannot let the parents take your team away. You have to be the voice, the sounding board. Do I get yelled at? Absolutely I do. And it's not just Aztec. I played a lot of schools this year, and they were lopsided, and parents would come and say derogatory things or whatever, and my only response is, you just got to get better. That's it. You just got to get better. And
hey, you had to. You guys had to get better, right? I mean, we started off with them, So, I just felt like it's been on your heart for a little bit. I wanted you to kind of talk about it and put it out there, and just put your thought process out there, and just let people. Hey, people are going to take it however they want to take it, but I just wanted you to get your voice out there. Stephen and I wanted, not just me, but get your voice out there, and just let people understand where you're coming from and what your thought process is. And if you're a sports fan, how can you not get behind what you just said? You know what I mean, Stephen? I mean, how do you look down upon on a team after what you just said?
Well, I understand. Like I like when you're saying that stuff, like I'm like, yes. I lived a lot of that, and I had phenomenal parents. I'll just say that right up front. And it's like you said, I didn't even ever think of it that way, but they believed in what I was doing, and they believed in me. And I had parents, I had girls that would be like, hey, Stephen, and they'd be like, you don't call him Stephen, you call him Coach.
Right.
And to me, it wasn't a big deal, but to those parents, it was like, no, you're gonna show respect. I had such good backing from parents. I really did have phenomenal parents, but they did, like when you say that, they would always believe in me. They always would support us. They would, they were always there for us. And I like you said, I don't know exactly how you do that, but you create that atmosphere, but I did. Like I was I'll admit it, I was very protective over my coaching staff.
Absolutely.
I had people that would be like, oh, can I come and help you? Can I, every year you'd have a new parent that wanted to come help. And not that they were bad people, but it's like, no, this is this is who I got. This is who I trust. This is who has my back. This, you know, like, and I was very, very protective over that. And as a result, we ended up having, you know, a really solid program for a lot of years. And it wasn't easy. I had a parent come up to me at the banquet and hand me this card, and it said thank you, and it was ripping my freaking ass. The whole card was, the whole thing was written on about how I destroyed her daughter and this and that. You know, like, and it was unfortunate or whatever, but it's like you can't take that and let that ruin
sure
what you're doing, because this is the direction we're going. And so I had my moments as well. I've
been ripped. You know, we had a perfect season last year, and I had a parent tell me that exact. It's funny you said it that way. That exact same scenario, how I ruined their kid's high school career, and there is no answer, because anything you give them, they're already made their mind up. You know, they wanted to come attack you. They wanted to say what they wanted to say, and I just listened. I'm just okay. There's nothing I can do.
I've been on the other side of that fence, and I don't know if my son, he probably wouldn't be happy me telling it, but like in eighth grade, he made the basketball team, but he was probably one of the last kids, and he didn't get a lot of playing time, and he got frustrated one game because he didn't get to play, and he was upset. And my first thought wasn't, I'm going to go tell that coach what's up. I said, let's go sit down with the coach and see what you need to do better. And we did. We sat down, and when we were going home, I said, when we get home, do you want to go practice those things? He's like, no, I don't want to do that. And I said, well, then you're going to get what, you know, like, what you put in. Okay with what you get, you know, like, I don't want to hear you complaining about it. Like, and that was, that came from being on the coaching side as well. It's like, we're not going to blame the coach. Like, yes, there's kids out there that they do have more talent, and they, you know, that sounds bad to say it that way, but there's kids that just naturally have more athletic ability. Some people have to work on it. I had to work. Like, I wasn't just natural for me, but I'm just saying, like, if you're in that position, go out and work and get what you want. You know, some people, yes, they are fortunate enough to have the ability to do things and make it look easy, but some of you got to work harder. Like you said, do better, get better.
You got to get better, and parents don't understand. They're not there at practice, and if they don't see the fact that the kid's at home not doing anything, but thinks they're going to get anointed to play on game day, that just, the parents are reliving, and this is not a shot. This is just, they're reliving the 10 plays rule at Yaffle. We're in a position when you're in high school, and I can tell you right now, when you're losing, there is not a lot of happy people. No. The ones that are happy, I'll tell you, the ones that are happy are the administrators that don't care about sports, and they're worried that, you know, it's no good. Because I hear it all the time. You know, we're too involved with this or too involved with that. Well, let me tell you something. I'll tell you right now, if you take the percentage of athletes in your school district and the percentage of people passing, that's averaging that all your athletes are helping your school pass, get a better grade, because we demand that they have a 2.0, no Fs. If you didn't have athletics, how high do you think that number would be? You know, we're blessed enough, I think our statistics show we have 61% now participating in sports. They have to pass.
I have, you know what, I'm glad you brought that up, because I think we had this, I think it was Albert I was talking to about this, and this is just a question. This isn't like I'm saying that it should be this way, but excuse me, I've always thought, and this is just me, like, you know, like that program starts when they're this big.
Yes.
And I've always thought when they're this big and they're in, you know, let's not say like kindergarten or anything like that, but I'm saying like when they get in that third and fourth grade and they're playing in the Yaffle or whatever, like I really think that there should be some accountability for their schoolwork, you know, and I don't know if you can get the parents to buy into that, but like, hey, if you have a bad grade, you don't get to play this week, or I mean, I don't know what that looks like.
Because they did when I played.
But I'm just saying, like, it seems like now it's like you're saying, like, oh, everybody just gets to play. Yeah. Like, oh, if I don't let my kid play, then he's never gonna, you know, whatever. I don't know what that is, but I always felt like, I mean, like you look at Navajo Prep. We talked about it. Like,
sure.
Their academics and those kids are talking about ACT scores, like, and I don't know how that looks or how that starts, but I've always felt like, if you would help them start being accountable before they get to the place where they have to be accountable, then it would be easier when they get there. But I feel like
Well, that's our biggest pitfall from Yaffle to high school is the junior high. Now the academics matter, and that's where the fall off is.
Yes.
And that's where you're like, well, where is this kid at? How come I don't see, he was a great athlete. Well, now he doesn't even go to school. Now he's at the alternative school, and he's barely making that. And you talk to the parents, well, he's too old for me to do anything now. That gap between 3rd grade and 7th grade is where they're getting penalized. And I say penalized because what good is it if you don't hold your own child to a standard to let them play? And I can tell you, talking to Yaffle coaches, and I'll bring it up, how many of them are dads?
Absolutely. Majority part.
And the majority of them, just to get the coaches, because you need Yaffle coaches. And there's a lot of great ones out there. I'm not saying anything. But if their son's failing in 5th, 6th grade, there's no standard for them to say, oh, I'm holding my son out. Well, your son's the starting quarterback. Are you really going to hold the starting? And then the whole team wants to know, well, why are you holding him out? So they won't answer for themselves. They won't make it, you will pass. Now, I know that Jeremy's boy, Jaden Marsing, his dad's strict. I know Jeremy personally. He's very strict, and he's very on top of his, because they understand the bigger picture of education, and they understand it. But you don't get, like Coach Fierro over here for you guys. I mean, he understands. You get those coaches that understand, but at what limit do they go, it's all right. You got next week. You can do this next week. I had a kid sit out a JV game because mom said, oh, he's got 3 Ds, I'm not letting him play. Even though he's eligible to play, mom said, no. And I said, thank you.
Good for her.
Yeah.
And I said, thank you. We have punishment week to week at our school. And it's not anything, it's just the football team. If you don't carry this and you have a D or an F, you run certain things until that comes up. It's not one day, it's till that comes up and you show me. Parents have access to Power School. Every single parent out there knows what their kid gets. Why is it that 10% go to parent meetings? Why is that? Why is there not 90 to 100% going to parent-teacher meetings? We have a parent-teacher meeting, I think, this Friday? How many are in attendance? And why do they not go? But if that kid fails, when they talk to me, what do you mean he's failing? I'm baffled by, how do you not know that he's failing?
Yeah.
We had a kid come in this year that had summer school and failed to do the summer school.
Oh, no.
And he's ineligible until he can get eligible in 9 weeks.
Yeah.
The question is, well, I didn't know. How? How did you not know? How is that even remotely processed at the end of school? So that shows you where involvement is. And that shows you where the stricter you are, and I'm not saying being a flaming retard. What I'm saying is being strict. Firm. Be firm.
Yes.
Because kids today will shut off like that. You can't. Yeah. We have one young man, if you get on him and blah, 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 he's the greatest kid ever. We got another guy, same thing. You get on him, he melts.
Yep.
He will melt in your hands. And you're looking at that big old guy going, what are you doing? Yeah. So you have to approach him with a whole different philosophy. Hey, come on, man, let's do this, let's do that.
They're not all the same.
And before, when we used to play, they grab your face mask and drag you around the field.
Oh, absolutely. We had clipboards broke over our face masks. And, the story you're talking about, we'll close it out here now. But one of my friends, and I won't say his name because you know how people are. You say so, I can't believe you said that about your kids or whatever. But he told me something I have never forgotten. He says, I don't hope or want my kids to do well. I expect my kids to do well because that's how I raised them. To 100%. Never give up and to always fight. And I'll never forget that. And I'll tell you who it is after because you're awfully close friends with them. So, but
I just got to say, guys, I'm not so arrogant. We have a tough bracket. It does run through us and we can't hurt ourselves. But I can tell you guys, these guys are coming on strong. The only thing is on the other side of the bracket that I want to see, that I'm curious about, is Moriarty and Chaparral. See, Moriarty's they're going to get Portales. Moriarty's I think they're going to get Chaparral. And that game with Pius, we have to go back a minute. Pius quit that game. I say quit. It was a lightning delay, okay? They did not want to make that game up when they were down 14-0 in the first 5 minutes of a game.
I heard of it.
And you're saying, again, is that the one that they lost to Albert?
That's the one. No, that's the one that they didn't finish. So that's why they only have an 8-1 record. I'm telling you, Moriarty can be, that's
They're
my
tough.
quiet horse right there is Moriarty.
Yeah, they look good. I
That's
mean,
my
we were
quiet horse.
impressed.
Yeah, didn't they have like 6 different running backs? it was like they had just a plethora of guys to run the ball whenever.
Sure, and the Romero kid, number 30, fantastic. Number 10, fantastic.
Yeah.
Coach Romero has got a great group of young, and they're young. He doesn't have a lot of seniors. They're going to be good. And looking at the bracket, the way it's set up, I think Moriarty might be that surprise. Just saying, you know. And
we watched them, and they did. They had some.
They got some guys. They got a great plan, and he doesn't ever change. He never changes. And you know, they honored Coach Alcorn and Moriarty this last weekend.
Saw that.
Got his honor Hall of Fame, and he deserves it. Coach Bob's,
Great
I've
dude.
known his family, you know, my whole life, and I love him to death, and he really deserved that, and I thought that was fantastic. And I just I gotta tell you, the one piece that I didn't talk enough about before we go is the athletes that join our team and that stay the distance are some of the greatest young men that I've been blessed to be around, and they make all this possible. They have a belief, and they show up, and they believe that they're going to win, and they can win, and they always believe that they have a chance. And without that mentality and those athletes that, you know, go all the way back to 21 when I first took over and until now, I'm just blessed, guys. Me and my coaches are so blessed to have the athletes in the town behind us that we have, and it's just, I can't say enough about that. And you guys have been in our tailgates. They're huge. It's almost like a college atmosphere, and they're just so excited to be there, and to be part of that in my life right now is super, super just over the top, and I've got to thank one person, and that's April. April is my ride or die, and I love her to death. She does everything for me, and she understands what it takes. And yeah, she has a couple of kids going through, but she also understands that, you know, if I take a loss, I wear that for about a year. You know, and it's my fault, and it's not my coaches, it's not the kids, it's always my fault. And I just, if we lose, it's because I missed something. And I forgot to tell somebody something, and I truly believe that in my program, that I'll live and die by the losses. The kids will be successful, and my coaches will be successful. And when they take over, wherever they take over, they're going to be successful people. Thank you.
You're running a heck of a successful program, Coach, so congratulations. Steven, any final thoughts?
No, I just want to say thank you for spending some time with us tonight.
Absolutely.
It was fun. It was just great to hear all that and the wisdom that you bring, and we appreciate it, and we wish you all the luck. Like I said, like when I said that, I didn't mean to say that to be derogatory. I just said, like,
I know.
Bloomfield is the only team that can beat Bloomfield. Like,
yes, sir.
As long as their mental state is where it needs to be, and they're ready to play, I don't think anybody can touch them. So
I appreciate that, guys.
I really
do.
believe you guys are going to go get the second one in a row, third.
We're
going to
fight. I can promise you that we're going to fight. And if you guys
believe.
Hey, I know. And if you guys are out there, you got to watch the Garage Guys. I love these shows. I try to text as much as I can when you guys are on, and I can't wait for wrestling and basketball and everything.
We've got some change-ups coming up for our show, so we want to try to get some more kids in, like some little miniature hot mics within the show, and get some interviews and stuff like that. So. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. So wrestling's coming up. You're right. But
well, don't think you're off the hook, because when I get back from Greece, we're going to be implementing the new setup.
Hey, you know what, guys? I love coming and hanging out with you guys. It's always a great time. I love watching you guys, and I just I want to make you guys proud and bring home a championship and have that show again. But the real thing is right now is Prep and Piedra Vista, San Juan County right now. It doesn't matter which school you're at. It's all San Juan County athletics, and I'm 100% behind them. I'll send them a message here this week and just wish them the best. And I'm so excited to see what else you guys bring, because it's been a phenomenal ride so far.
Yeah, everybody needs to get out and support somebody this week.
Please, get off your couch, go cheer them on. Yes. The Panthers need the love, the Eagles need the love, and let's just continue this on for another couple of weeks.
Yep. There you go. All right, folks, that is the #1 ranked team in the state of 4A. And their head coach, their fearless leader, and Coach Mike Kovacs, they're trying to go back-to-back.
That's correct.
If they do so, they get 3 out of the last 4 years, and the back-to-back would be the first time that's ever happened.
That's correct.
In our district.
Yes.
So good luck to you.
Thank you.
We know what you're bringing to the table, so I know we say good luck, but you know what you got to go do. So,
Absolutely.
The boys, all of you boys from Bloomfield, Pedro Vista, Navajo Prep, we are behind you 1,000%, man. We're going to try to show you all as much love as we possibly can, and we're going to be rooting you all on coming up this week. And of course, Bloomfield's off, but PV, Navajo Prep going into battle. So reach out, check out those games, man. Reach out to those players. Wish them the best of luck, like we do here with Desert Sports Live. Hey, thanks for rocking out with us, guys. God bless, and we're out.